It's the Opperman Report. Join digital forensic investigator and PI Ed Opperman for an in-depth discussion of conspiracy theories, strategy of New World Order resistance, high-profile court cases in the news, and interviews with expert guests and authors on these topics and more. It's the Opperman Report. And now, here is investigator Ed Opperman.
Okay, I always hit the wrong button. There's a little, I don't get into that. Welcome to the Opperman Report. I am your host, private investigator Ed Opperman. Who is this host? It's host Ed Opperman, the private investigator. You can find me at Opperman Investigations and Digital Forensic Consulting. If you can email me at oppermaninvestigations@gmail.com. That's where you can find me. Now, you like the show, check out our Patreon, the Opperman Report Patreon. Everything you hear Monday to Friday, AM, FM radio, you can find on our Patreon. So if you miss a show, you can go there looking for it. It's the best search engine to find old shows. Rather than contact me and say, hey, Ed, I'm looking for that time you were talking about Hunter Biden's laptop, or this or that, or creepy Joe Biden, or the McMartin preschool tunnels. I think that show you when you had the Blacks for Trump on, or the show you did with all this kind of stuff, man, with all that stuff. Instead of contacting me, plunk down $3 and go to Opperman Report Patreon. It has the best search engine. That's the search engine that works. The one on Spreaker works okay. It's hard to find stuff on there. I have a backdoor way I could find it quick. Google, forget it. Or Dogpile, you'll have a better chance. But Google has me totally shadow banned. Opperman Report Patreon. You go there right now. I got a couple of free items for you. So even if you're not a paying member, supporting my work here for you, that I bring you for 11 years in a row, 5 days a week, sometimes 7 days a week, you can... couple of free things up there. I got the 2006 Jeffrey Epstein grand jury transcripts are up there, and also all the exhibits are up there too as well, including recordings and stuff too. It's 2 separate posts. You got to go there and find them, but they're free to the public. Anybody can go there, and maybe while you're there getting free stuff, you can make a donation, do something, man. Do something to give me a break over here and help me out. Otherwise, we're not going to stay on the air. I can't continue doing this. When we see the Patreon dropping off and the Spreaker income is dropping off, even while the Spreaker numbers are up. Let me take a look here, man. This is insane. We're up like 20-30% this month. Let's check this out real quick so I can be outraged. 35% in the previous 30 days we're up, and the income's barely up. So, there's a glut of podcasters out there, mumbling into their phones, talking to their cousins and their friends and their wives, bringing you great content there and bringing down all the income, okay, for guys that do this for a living. Thanks a lot, guys. Okay? Thank you for your service to us, young ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, enough of that. Check out Ed Opperman, Patreon, free stuff, blah, blah, blah. Let's see here. Check out the old notes. I'm having a little emotional week here. I'll be honest with you. An extremely emotional week. Victoria's back in town visiting here for a few days. And, who we kidding? We're doing estate planning at this moment. And we need to have some very, very difficult conversations. We're having a great time so far, but we have some difficult conversations ahead of us. So it's been a very emotional time for me here. This Independence Day weekend. So keep an eye out on that. So in that note, and it's also been very emotional, too, reading these grand jury transcripts. Okay, a lot of this stuff hits home to me, and I'm going to explain to you why. I'm going to be talking mostly about the grand jury transcripts tonight, but I plan on doing not just a live Friday night show on this topic, but I'm going to do a thorough explanation of the grand jury hearing that they had here, which was a sham. And when I've talked to a lot of people that have discussed this grand jury in this case with me, and people who were directly involved in this. And until I read this, I had no idea what a sham this was and how this prosecutor was trying to throw this grand jury. She was not trying to get an indictment whatsoever. She was smearing the witnesses. She unprepared with the police, and even the police were unprepared witnesses, which is unheard of in all this stuff like that. Definitely no prep went on with this, and one of the witnesses was still driving around a rented car that Jeffrey Epstein had given her, and the prosecutor was smearing both of the victims, So, just outrageous. Very emotional for me to deal with that because I'll get to it in my notes tonight, but I plan on doing a full, thorough analysis of not just that, but the exhibits too as well, and some other of my involvement. People, if you don't have no idea who I am, I did the first Jeffrey Epstein radio show back in 2013. I couldn't even find a guest. No one had heard the name Jeffrey Epstein. Later on, I was first hired in 2015 as the private investigator in the lawsuit. So everyone's talking about it right now. They're calling it the Katie Johnson lawsuit. We used to call it the Katie Doe, because first it was a Jane Doe lawsuit, then it was Katie Johnson lawsuit. But I was private investigator in that behind the scenes. I tried to bring a new co-counsel into that case. Not one attorney ever turned it down. Not one attorney said he didn't want to be involved. No one ever said this is a bad case. We don't like this case. Okay, not one. But the case was abruptly dropped after a series of threats and dedication denial of service attack on Lisa Bloom's servers, and the live stream servers were even attacked. And people, I don't know why they don't discuss that part at all. I don't know. That's out there. That's not inside information. But I worked on many Epstein cases. I know many Epstein survivors. One was a friend of mine, very close friend for years. I knew his partner, Hoffenberg, his ex-partner, who was left holding the bag by Giuliani, Endyke, and Kahn. Did some work down in the Virgin Islands as a consultant for Denise George down there. So very involved in the Epstein saga, in real life, in reality, okay, not on Twitter, okay, not some of this nonsense out there. There's a lot of stuff, too, that even went on this week that's absolute BS, okay? Like people running around saying, hey, because when we heard that there was a ruling, DeSantis, passed a law or signed something, and there was a lawsuit with the, I forget which, Palm Beach County Press, where they sued to get these transcripts unsealed. And it was ruled that they would be unsealed July 1st. Okay, so we knew it was coming. But then we heard from one of the reporters who's active in this case. She had gotten a copy of this from the attorneys. And then other people on Twitter, when they saw her saying she had a copy, they started saying they had a copy. I'm downloading my copy too right now, and I'm reviewing my copy too as well. Okay, but it wasn't available yet. It wasn't on the county clerk's website yet. Okay, and I contacted a few people who physically had it in their hand, and the version that they have in their hand was an unredacted version that they got from the attorneys. The version that everyone now has that you can get at the Opperman Report Patreon is the redacted version that was provided by the county clerk, okay, the clerk of the courts. Now, there's people out there claiming that they were getting the original while they were on the redacted, and now they're posting clips from the redacted. So there's a lot of BS out there that the average person can't sniff through. And just because some moron has 100,000 or 200,000 Twitter followers doesn't mean that they're really behind the scenes involved in this. And there's also a lot of this has become an industry, the Jeffrey Epstein industry, where there's people with no direct involvement with podcasts out there. There's people with no direct involvement out there who don't even know people with direct involvement that never interviewed me, not once asked my question for me or any of the attorneys I worked with. None of them. Nobody knows these people. They're writing books, they're podcasts, doing all this, interviews, Twitter accounts. Nobody knows them. And that's the fact. So there was a lot of that nonsense this weekend. By the way, some of these people got lawsuits from victims. Victims are suing them. And other ones, they're trying to hire me to dig up dirt on victims. All right? There's a lot of craziness that goes on in this Jeffrey Epstein stuff that the average person has no clue about. And all they know about is, where's the list? Where's the list? Oh, he never visited the island. He was never on the plane, and all this BS, man. So I'll give it a real scoop, okay, because I'm actually involved, and I know all these characters, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So we're going to be getting into that tonight. Oh, boy, what a rant. I got started ranting already. My daughter's in town 2 days. I'm already lost my mind. After this show, I'm going to do a report that I did for Patreon about Mel's Hole, the story on Art Bell. And then I have Andrew Lowney, who's a very serious historian and author, a real well-respected author who's written several very well-respected publications. I know some people, they like to talk about respected author. They want one damn book. It doesn't even make sense. Okay, but they're a respected author. Coming up this week, I'm taping with this guy who's an audio tech engineer and TV producer, technician for like 30 years. And he's got this theory and analysis of the debate performance of Joe Biden. And he says there was a lot of stuff with the lighting and the audio and the staging that was used to sabotage Joe Biden. And Joe Biden's clearly a mess, but let's see what this guy has to say. Also, too, did I just delete some stuff in my notes? If I did, I'm a big... Something just happened there. I had a reporter coming up, a story about, I'm taping with her on Tuesday, about this young man, 14 years old, who went missing after being in police custody, and then the witness in the case was just shot by the same police department. That's a story that's not out there much yet, and we're being careful with it. So all that's going on. All right, don't forget to check out my Patreon, though, where the transcripts and the exhibits are there for free, and there's also thousands, hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of exclusive content you won't hear anywhere else. I just recently had a guest on the show, and she was on some guy's YouTube channel. And I went down the list of his guests, and practically his entire show is my show. And he went and he listened to my show and found these obscure guests that were never on anywhere else besides me. And he went and interviewed them, just practically asking the same questions. So if you want the real stuff, the original stuff, go to Opperman Report. The guy who did the first Jeffrey Epstein radio show. Like anybody cares. So we start out. That's how we're doing on time. Because sometimes I look at the time and I'm shocked. 15 minutes are pretty shocking. Okay. Oh, God. I had a situation today, too, with this young mother. She's talking about she wants to give up her baby for adoption because she can't afford to take care of the baby and she can't even afford to take care of herself. So we're trying to help her out as well, too. Because, by experience with these adoption agencies, man, they're all crooked. There's not one. Somebody commented, too, well, those weren't legit adoption agencies. I said, man, I never met a legit adoption agency. They all seem to be in on this. I forget secondary adoptions. That's even worse. Okay. Okay, I gotta go here. Okay. Now, the prosecutor in this case, when you read this transcript, it's available on Patreon, Opera Report Patreon, for free. And I'm going to do, and then a lot of the all around the country picked up those comments. So I tell you, man, I had a real reach with my theory and my analysis of this grand jury. Okay, although I'm the invisible man. I'll be the invisible man until I die. Okay, there's no logical reason why I don't have a Wikipedia page. I'm on the radio, wrote a book. I've been interviewed Nightline of 2020, Dr. Drew. I've been all over the freaking place. I've been involved in huge congressional investigations. Are you kidding me? And every idiot out there's got a Wikipedia page. I don't have one. It just makes no sense. It's the craziest thing in the world, man. Oh, my God. Okay, here we go. So this prosecutor, she starts out interviewing one of the cops, and you could tell there's no preparation between her and the cop. They're not even on the same page of their notes and stuff. It's just pathetic, man. And this is the cop who got involved, not because the school called him. Maybe we'll be getting into that later. But the cop gives his testimony. Then the first one is this